India's parliament has ended its monsoon session after weeks of disruption, with rival groups of lawmakers staging protests today. Opposition lawmakers demanding accountability from Home Minister Amit Shah over the alleged use of force against students protesting in New Delhi last month, insisting also that discussion be focused specifically on police being held accountable. Home Minister Amit Shah saying the government was ready for a full discussion and he was prepared for any questions in Parliament. Prime Minister Narendra Modi joining Mr. Shah in Parliament along with the Defence Minister. And Ishan Garg reporting for CNA Live from New Delhi. Ishan, why was this monsoon session so frequently disrupted?
Well, the monsoon session started off on a very stormy note. We would remember back in July 20th when the session kicked off. That was the same day when tens of thousands of student protesters were marching towards the parliament demanding reforms in the education sector. And that really set the stage in some ways of how this monsoon session was going to turn out. Throughout this whole session, which lasted for roughly 3 weeks, we saw 11 bills being introduced in the parliament, or passed in the parliament rather, but only 10 of them but only one of them, rather, was passed after discussion. 10 of them were passed only through a voice vote, during which the Speaker calls out on the members of the House to say yes to a particular bill. They support it, they say yes, and it gets passed without much discussion about it. This was, in a sense, the way Parliament functioned for this entire session. And the key demand that the opposition had during this entire session was one thing: for India's Interior Minister Amit Shah, who was not only a very senior government minister, but also considered a very close aide of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to come to the parliament and answer questions about these allegations of police excesses during that student march that took place in July. Opposition parties have been saying that Delhi police, which reports to the Home Minister of the country, Mr. Shah, they have used excessive force against students, including, according to the allegations by the opposition, usage of pellet guns, which was erstwhile not heard of in New Delhi. We heard from the Interior Minister, who told the press that the government was ready for a debate in the parliament, but once this proposal was sent to the opposition parties, they said no and said weren't interested in a lecture by the Home Minister. And in this way, we saw the final day of the monsoon session ending without any sort of proceeding in the lower house of Parliament, and only some matters being discussed in the upper house of Parliament.
Oh, Ishan, robust debate in the Indian Parliament, that is a frequent occurrence, but we also saw rival groups of MPs protesting face-to-face outside of Parliament today.
Absolutely. Protesting outside the parliament has become one of the key ways in which the opposition parties are now expressing their displeasure against the government. During this week's session, we saw opposition parties standing outside the gates of the parliament, and they were raising two key issues outside the parliament. One of the issues relates to the allegation of fund embezzlement in the very famous, very popular Ram Temple in India's most populous state of Uttar Pradesh. This is a place where tens of thousands of devotees go every single day, and there have been allegations that cash and valuable items of up to $750,000 have been misappropriated by some workers. And this is one allegation that opposition has been making against the government, demanding action by the government on that issue outside the parliament. There have also been calls for resignation of India's Home Minister as well. Those calls were also being made outside the parliament, and we saw that this has raised the temperature between India's ruling parties and the opposition blocs to the next level. We saw how what is customary usually during parliamentary proceedings is when the Speaker of the House invites the opposition parties for a customary tea arrangement by the end of the session. That was boycotted by opposition groups, and we also saw comments being made by both sides accusing each other of letting the parliament not function.
Thanks to Ishan Garg there reporting for CNA Live from New Delhi.